In a morbid twist of irony, one of Firehouse 51's most dedicated heroes lost everything. An affectionate morning at the Herrmann home opened the program. After adding another dash to their kitchen door frame with his new height, one of Herrmann's sons was thrilled to hear that he will soon surpass his sibling in height as his wife Cindy, Robin Coffin, gathered their 5 kids for school. After a beautiful morning, Herrmann wished his loved ones well and went to work. However, shortly after Herrmann got to Firehouse 51, his friend Mouch, Christian Stolt, heard a CFD call on the radio regarding a house fire. The news that Herrmann's house was on fire was a complete gut hit. Related, Herrmann and Mouch will butt heads this season on Chicago Fire, cranky, grumpy types. Firehouse 51 wasted no time flying into action. Despite being out of 51's district, the Windy City heroes weren't going to let Herrmann's house burn down without a valiant fight. Herrmann was horrified after his house burned down on Chicago Fire. Firehouse 51 arrived to an inferno consuming Herrmann's house, soon verifying that luckily none of his family members were inside. Herrmann rushed into the home to extinguish the flames, but overwhelmed by emotion, he struggled to evacuate after receiving the command. Devastated by the sight of all of the charred memories, Herrmann had to be forcibly removed from his house. After Herrmann begged the firefighters to keep fighting the inferno, a massive explosion silenced any hope of salvaging the residence. "It's all gone," Herrmann told Cindy, both utterly heartbroken. It was a sullen return to Firehouse 51 as the firefighters discussed what Herrmann's family's plans were after their displacement. Chihards watched Herrmann and his family move into that home in early Chicago Fire, and after living in that house with his family for 10 years, his friends knew how tragic the loss was. Herrmann, meanwhile, was concerned about what had started the fire when no one was home. How did Herrmann's house fire start? Herrmann recruited Lieutenant Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney, to leverage his experience in arson investigation to get to the bottom of it. Severide discovered the fire started in the kitchen, but struggled to prove how. Herrmann explained that the outlets had been recently rewired. Could that have been it? Severide confirmed that could have served as the spark. The catch? Herrmann had been the one to rewire the stove. Severide later proved that the fire was caused by a short in the ignition unit, not a rewiring snafu. While Herrmann was relieved to be absolved, he remained heartbroken over the loss of his home. Herrmann suspiciously asked if Mouch was there to tell him to move on, but Mouch shook his head. He was there to help however he could. Herrmann and Mouch got into a fight after the fire. After learning his DIY wiring could have caused the fire, Herrmann was left ransacked with guilt. His family had lost so much. From his daughter's journals to a ring from Cindy's late mother, so many bespoke items were gone. After he lamented over the loss of these belongings to Mouch, his friend tried to remind him of the material nature of those items. But this only irritated Herrmann, who explained it wasn't just stuff to him or his family, it was a decade of lost memories. After Herrmann began evading calls or texts, Cindy called Mouch to get his help tracking down her husband. Mouch went to the one place he felt Herrmann would be hiding, within the rubble of his cherished home. Mouch found Herrmann inside the ashen remains, scavenging for the door frame with his children's heights on it. But Herrmann had found nothing. Related. Why you recognize Pascal's new love interest, Davis, on Chicago Fire, details. Mouch comforted his friend, eagerly telling him that he wasn't responsible for the spark. Herrmann returned to the temporary home Mouch had found for the family and apologized to Cindy for worrying her with his absence. Herrmann admitted that he returned to their home in hopes of finding anything to bring back, revealing that with Mouch's help, they'd recovered Cindy's mother's ring. Cindy was overwhelmed with emotion, tearfully thanking Herrmann and reminding him they were in this next chapter together. It started like any other chilly evening in Chicago, the kind of night when the city's heartbeat slows just enough for its citizens to settle in with loved ones, unaware that somewhere in the maze of streets and alleys, disaster is preparing to strike. But for Christopher Herrmann, the ever-loyal, loud-mouthed, big-hearted lieutenant of Firehouse 51, that night would change everything. A devoted husband, father of 5, and the kind of man who carried the Firehouse's moral compass even through the darkest of days. Herrmann's story was always one of resilience and community. Yet even the toughest firefighters can't always protect what they love most. And the tragedy that engulfed Herrmann and his family left fans shattered, questioning how much one man can endure before breaking. It began with a call, not to the firehouse, but to his own home on South Wallace. A small electrical fire, they said. Contained, they said. But as every firefighter knows, flames have a way of hiding in the walls, smoldering quietly before roaring back with vengeance. Earlier that day, Cindy Herrmann had been wrapping up a long shift at Molly's North, the bar the couple co-owned with Mouch and Dawson before she passed the reins to her kids. Their youngest, Annabelle, had been working on a school project at the kitchen table, while her brothers were scattered across the city. One in college, one pulling a double at a mechanic shop, another already starting to follow in his father's footsteps as a fire cadet. Life, as hectic as it always was for the Herrmanns, seemed perfectly normal, until the smell of smoke began to creep under the doorframes. When the first 911 call came in, no one at Firehouse 51 had any idea it would hit so close to home. It wasn't until dispatch announced the address. Residential structure fire, South Wallace, multiple occupants possibly trapped, that Herrmann's heart dropped. His voice cracked when he repeated the address under his breath. "That's my house." In an instant, the usually steady lieutenant was gone, replaced by a terrified husband and father. Bowden's voice echoed through the house. "Let's move! Truck 81, Squad 3, Ombo 61, that's Herrmann's family. Go, go, go!" The drive was a blur of sirens and flashing lights. Ritter's hands trembled on the hose line, while Cruz whispered prayers under his breath. Casey had seen Herrmann through countless blazes, but this was different, personal. Every firefighter on scene that night knew they weren't just fighting for victims. They were fighting for one of their own. As the trucks pulled up, the flames had already swallowed the second floor, spitting sparks into the night sky. The heat was suffocating, the smoke thick enough to choke out hope. Herrmann tried to charge forward, helmet already on, but Bowden blocked him. "You're not going in there, Chris. You're staying here." His voice was firm but pained. Herrmann's eyes burned, not from smoke, but from helplessness. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe my sister wives to our channel and stay with us. The fire was spreading fast. The structure groaned under the weight of heat and time. The team split up. Cruz and Gallo took the rear, Ritter and Mouch cleared the basement, and Stella led the upstairs search. Every call-out, every cough through the radio carried a prayer that one of those voices would say, "We've got them." But minutes stretched into eternities. Cindy was found first, unconscious but breathing, near the hallway leading to the kitchen, her body shielding Annabelle's. She'd done what mothers always do, protected her child until the very end. The medics worked quickly, oxygen masks pressed against smoke-blackened faces, but the situation was dire. "Two criticals," Violet shouted over the roar of fire. "We need transport now." Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe my sister wives to our channel and stay with TS.